Hello, good morning, evening, afternoon. My name is Aria, and I will be your host today about this session on Windows updates. And with me, I've brought a few experts who can answer all of your questions. David, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Hi, I'm David Mebin. I'm a product manager lead on the Autopatch team focused on update reporting and insights.
Harmon, what about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Harmon Thin. I'm a senior product manager on the Windows Autopatch team.
And last but certainly not least, Monica?
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica Batala. I also work on Windows commercial team, specifically on Windows Autopatch product. Excited to be here and answer your questions.
Awesome. Well, we are definitely excited to have all of you with us. We are here for the next hour to talk to you all about the world of Windows updates and answer any questions you have about it. Before we dig in, though, I want to know what's everyone's favorite new features that have been coming out in the world of Windows updates. I know we've had a lot, so try to pick just your one or two favorites. Anyone want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm super excited about the recent release of optional feature updates, which allow you to offer a feature update to your organization, such as Windows 11, but let the user choose when that update's downloaded and installed so that they can find the right time for them to take it at their convenience.
I can kick off with another one.
Go ahead, Herman.
All right, yeah. So the policy conflicts is a new feature within Windows Autopatch, which allows you to see across all your policies, whether they're Autopatch-owned policies or policies that you brought along with you, if there's any conflicts that are prohibiting your devices from taking an update. Effectively, we'll show you the expected versus conflicting policy, and then further there, allow you to remediate and then let us know which policies should be directed to the device so you can update your devices properly. Over to you, Monica.
That's awesome, Harmon. Yeah, I'm excited about policy conflict area as well. It's great. It's amazing what we are doing there. I was going to say Windows Autopatch and Windows Update for Business Deployment Service Unification. Feel like we're putting in a lot of effort there in different fronts, both on the UX as well as on the data side, and bringing all reporting and the entire story together. So I'm super excited about Microsoft kind of having one single story and easier experiences for our customers.
Awesome. Definitely lots of new goodness I'm excited about. If you haven't already checked out the Tech Community IT Pro blogs that we've released recently, I would highly recommend going and doing it. There's a lot of good information there about many of the features that were just mentioned. So now the hard part. You guys get to answer questions that folks have been putting in chat. The first question, are there any plans to simplify and expedite driver updates? Specifically, will there be a method to allow users to download the latest drivers directly through Windows updates, eliminating the need to visit multiple manufacturer websites?
I can take this one. So for a while now, we've always had the option for you to either enable or disable driver updates entirely from Windows Update to your PCs. And so if you enable that feature, that'll ensure that all of the same driver updates that are being offered to the broad set of devices managed by Microsoft are available to your organization. But we also know that many IT pros desire a lot more control over what is installed and when it's installed. And so if you haven't seen it already, I really encourage you to check out the driver and firmware update management that we released through Intune last year. That provides granular control of both optional and recommended driver updates, allowing you to choose and schedule when and how those updates get installed in your organization. And it was really specifically built to solve the problem of needing to go to different websites and download packages and figure out what's available. And one of the things that's really powerful about it is that it lets you take advantage of the knowledge built into Windows Update to understand not just what are all the updates available, but what does Microsoft recommend for you.
And just to build off on what David just said, I think a couple of other features that I want to kind of call out that we specifically building in Windows Autopatch for drivers updates is basically the ability to manage updates in bulk. Like there are capabilities that we are building to bulk pause or bulk resume, bulk approve different type of driver updates and policies, which basically very makes it very easy for our IT admins to kind of go and manage different drivers that are available for their devices, all in a single click.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know drivers are definitely top of mind for a lot of folks with whenever you're moving from Windows updates. And the driver experience that we're offering through Windows Update, in my opinion, is much, much simpler than what we had in Configmgr world, where you'd have to package them up and then push them out to the devices. Awesome. Next question is really, I guess, Harman, for you. In terms of what we're doing in terms of new alerts or in terms of the way we are providing better reporting to our admins, I guess, is there anything new in that area that folks should be looking out for?
Yeah, good question. So work is currently underway with unification, as Monica mentioned, with bringing together WUFB DO and the Autopatch. We are going to be revamping the existing devices blade that customers can get an idea of what's going on with their devices in terms of which devices have not registered with the service, what's the reasoning, and then how to go remediate. That experience is being revamped with a little bit more richer alerts for customers. But moving forward to bring this even to bring customers even closer to identifying and remediate issues, we'll be introducing the alerting framework. This is currently under work, but effectively what we're saying here is across the board, whether these are tenant-related issues, device-related issues, or even update-specific problems, admins will be able to easily identify all of those in a single location, single report, and then effectively see all the devices impacted, and then also the remediation steps that need to be taken to effectively remediate the problems there. So we hear you. There's lots of reports throughout Intune, throughout WUFB DS. So looking to consolidate that, bring into a single location, and make it really easy for you to identify errors that are affecting your devices. But stay tuned. There'll be more coming.
Awesome.
And I think one of the things, that I'm excited about in the alerting space is we're really taking the approach of trying to identify top problems facing organizations, causing devices to either not be ready to take an update or causing those updates to not install successfully. And that's really an area that we're trying to take a real iterative approach and just almost kind of monthly release new alerts designed to address those top problems. And so for those of you using Windows Update for business reports, you can see we just shipped a new alert to identify devices that are not sending telemetry and thus not showing up in those reports for there. And we're going to be bringing that same alert into Intune and Autopatch as well, so that we've got that insight across the board. And we'll continue to identify those top problems and bring those alerts forward. And super excited about the work Harman's doing to really showcase those and make it easy for you to action them from there.
That's awesome. On that note, I know we just did a lot of work. And David, actually, you called this out as your favorite new feature, which I agree with. I'm super excited about it, which is optional feature updates and monitoring those feature updates, of course, using our different reporting tools. And I know in Intune we have right now the separate blades for like the regular Windows Update reports, and then we also have the special Autopatch reports. As we're thinking about unification and we're thinking about bringing our reporting strategies together, will those new feature update reports for the Windows updates be available in Autopatch as well, or are they going to be coming together as one thing?
Yeah, so I'd say in the same vein that, sorry, I'm getting an echo, but I think in the same vein that we want to unify the control plane in Intune, we want to have a unified set of reports. And one of the challenges that we've heard a lot from customers is when the devices or insights across different products from Microsoft don't agree with one another, it's difficult to have trust that you're getting the right insight. And so across the different products with WUFB reports and Autopatch and Intune, while we use the same underlying kind of data processing, the way that data can be represented can lead to variations that customers have provided feedback on. And so with unification, we really want to be bringing a more consolidated and consistent point of view to those reports so that you're always getting the clear, actionable, up-to-date insights in terms of where your device is at and what you need to do about them. So we'll be continuing to unify those experiences and at the same time looking at how we can continue to improve latency of those devices. And you probably saw a blog recently from Autopatch about improving their kind of reporting SLAs and driving down the latency from when an update event is received to when that shows up in the reports. We're going to look to bring that more broadly to customer devices or insights.
That's awesome. So I see one other question. I'm just now taking multiple formats, by the way, so hopefully if folks have questions, get them in soon. This question came from a different format, but it is in terms of alerting. Can you tell me more about the device reliability report that's now in public preview?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a PSA, the feature that Arya is talking about is currently in public preview. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's within the quality update section within the reports for Windows Autopatch. But effectively, the post-update reliability report, it provides a calculated each Windows update quality cycle based off of stop error detection that we've seen on the device, which another term for stop error code, you've probably heard of blue screen of death, effectively is a faulty driver that may have caused corruption of the operating system. Effectively, what we're looking to do here is provide two main benefits. One, enabling each admin to compare scores at both the tenant and service level, and then two, provide insights into related module failures and affected. Really report we're dive down issues that customers have seen across the board within their tenant of which modules have failed, how many devices, and what's the impact to their overall tenant, and allow you to compare it across the board to other tenants within the service as well. Sort of aligned to the alerting framework that we were discussing. The goal here is to effectively help you categorize and drive down your overall problems across your tenant across the board. And in the future, looking to see if we can even scope this down to specific areas focused on your print score or your audio and video drivers, looking to effectively drive those larger areas down. But if you haven't checked it out, check out the feature. Let us know if you have any feedback.
And you can learn more about that at aka.ms-reliability report. Awesome. Definitely, we're really excited about all of the reporting things coming up and all of the really new goodness in those areas. One thing that we kind of get questions on a lot is what is the difference between deferrals and deadlines? And how do these, if at all, interact with things like our future update deployment policies? And so I was curious if you had an answer to that.
Sure, I'm happy to take that one. So with deferrals and deadlines, you can think about deferrals as waiting for how long you want to start taking an update. So if a device has a deferral value of, say, 2 days, that means for 2 days after an update's been published, it won't be offered to that device. After 2 days, when the device scans Windows Update, it'll be able to now start the download and install progress. Once that's started, the deadline value then tells you how long does the user and the device have to complete that operation. And so that'll enforce when you start to see those toasts that are popping up on the PC saying it's time to restart, or really it'll say your organization requires you to restart, and it'll have the countdowns and the orange dot and all that. And so you can think about deferrals as when do you start, and deadlines as when do you complete that update process. And typically we recommend that you use either policies through Intune in terms of the feature update management independently from deferrals and deadlines. But if you use those two things together, how it plays out in practice for those who are troubleshooting is that all conditions must be true for an update to install. So if you've approved a Windows 11 feature update for your organization, but you've set a deferral value, that really won't be offered until the deferral value is reached. But that can be difficult for people to troubleshoot and remediate. And so we really recommend using the scheduling features that are built in to the feature update policy rather than trying to combine those two.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Now we have a question from Stefan Lalenset. who is actually a frequent visitor. So thank you, Spawn, for always joining and asking some great questions. And this is a great one as well. Do we have any plans to extend the optional feature update to allow us to enforce at a specific date? For example, I want to make it optional to the end user for 3 weeks. Then I want to force them to take the feature update if they haven't already.
Yeah, so I'm not sure on the specifics, but I definitely think that that's a great scenario, and it's definitely something that will be in line with what we're trying to accomplish with that feature. So I don't think the three of us have maybe the latest update on that, but we can follow up and get back to you and put that in chat, and definitely agree with kind of the goal and the feedback there.
Awesome. Feature suggestions, by the way, are always great. So if you have any of those as well, we're happy to listen to them on this call. Awesome. So the next question is from Ken. What advice do you have for those who want to move to newer management methods of Windows updates, but have complicated known unknowns? Example, bandwidth issues with VPN split exclude tunnels and complicated networking, which may or may not allow east-west traffic. Previously, with WSUS Configmgr, you knew client and VP-WSUS and could block off downloads quickly if too many clients started at the same time. What are the options are there for updating directly from Windows Update to throttle if networking goes wrong?
I can try to answer this. Sorry, I do. So I, typically when there are a setup like this where there are different devices or different users which might have different requirements, I think one of the things that we recommend is kind of splitting them or using this concept of Autopatch groups, where we essentially segment the similar devices into different buckets so that those devices can be managed differently. So each bucket can have a different schedule and different way certain different update content is deployed to each of these buckets and devices in this bucket. So potentially one way where, rather than looking at one single solution across all the estate, where things could be broken up so that individual or corner case requirements can be addressed. So go ahead, David.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great suggestion to stage the rollout across your organization, and through Azure or Entra AD groups, you can further kind of use that to segment it with Autopatch groups. In addition, I'd also recommend, if you haven't looked at it, to look at connected cache as kind of one of our flagship offerings to put in your network to help further mitigate those bandwidth concerns.
Yeah, definitely love delivery optimization and peer-to-peer caching are two of the things that will certainly help you a lot if you haven't already looked at them. Next question is, can one of you talk about the policy conflict report and how you think we should use it to help fix conflict issues? If we're only using Windows Update for Business for now, do we need to do something or wait for the unification to be able to use that conflict resolution report?
Yep. Thanks, Ari. I can take this one. So you don't have to wait until unification to use this report. It is live today. You can find it under the in Intune under the devices section for Windows Autopatch. It's called policy conflict or policy health, I believe, one of the two. Effectively, the report here allows you to see any issues that you have with any Autopatch owned policies and your own policies. So if you're using WUFB, that's fine. But there may be policies that you have created, whether you created through Autopatch groups or specific policies that Autopatch already owns. I'll give you an example. If you have a telemetry policy that you have set, we also set our own separate telemetry policy as well. And so there will for sure be a conflict there. And that will be highlighted in that report. And effectively will show you what's the expected policy, which is the Autopatch owned policy, and your conflicting policy that you own, and just sort of give you some information of what's the conflict, why you need to address it, and then what's the impact to your devices. So check it out now. It's in public preview, and it will also be part of unification as well.
Awesome. Great to hear. I do love all of the things that are quickly going from public preview to release. We now have a next question from Joe on Tech Community. Is there a Windows Update for Business for GCC roadmap? David, I know this is something near and dear to your heart, so I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, so my team manages our compliance and our certifications for both Windows Update for Business and Autopatch. And so this has been kind of a big gap that we've had in our offering for some time. And so I don't have a specific date to share with you at this time, but I will share that we're working through the FedRAMP certification for WUFB reports and the associated services around Autopatch. And we do intend to bring that to GCC hopefully sooner rather than later.
Awesome. Next question from Nate on Twitter is, can you talk a bit about integrating Windows Update for Business deployment service with Autopilot, and if there are any technical challenges preventing that? I'd love to hear more. We definitely desire the ability to enforce these policies during Autopilot on new devices. Drivers and patches are a big one, especially to ensure that devices and new devices are patched with the right LCU whenever you're getting them out of box.
So Arya, I might turn that around back to you. I know your team's been working on delivering patches during the Autopilot experience.
Yeah, I was going to jokingly be like, I was hoping not to get any questions addressed to me right now, but it's okay. Signing up for moderation doesn't always work out. Great question. And so, yes, we are definitely looking at how we can integrate better with Autopilot to ensure that the policy syncs not only bring down your policies, but that you can update during that out-of-box experience to get your devices patched to the latest. Especially in today's security age, we really are trying to make sure that devices are getting to users' hands with the latest patches, whether that's Windows quality updates, app updates, or driver updates getting onto those devices. And so we don't have anything to announce right this second. That's definitely something we're working on. There are certainly technical challenges there. If you ever want to go deep into how the out-of-box experience works and what workflows you can do, happy to have a one-on-one with you. But the big thing that we are doing is integrating those, making sure those updates are available, and seeing how we can apply the latest to the device. And that's something that will hopefully enter the pipeline of public preview and then release sooner rather than later. The next question, which at least I don't think is going to be from me, is from Fabian. Are there any changes coming to Windows Update for BIOS updates? Our devices are hybrid joined, and we are switching from WSUS to Autopatch. Great call. We do love you switching from WSUS to Autopatch. And at the moment, I'm implementing a mix of Autopatch and an OEM tool that can be controlled by Proactive Remediations to search and scan for driver firmware BIOS updates. To be honest, it's a huge pain, and I'm starting to think if the drivers are provisioned by Windows updates are good enough. That would be great. And so I guess the main question then is, are we doing any work for BIOS updates in the Windows Update space?
I can take this, Arya. So I think at this point, we do not have anything active going on. But one thing I definitely want to call out is it's been on the backlog. I know I've heard a couple of discussions on this, that this is something that we will have to pick up. But as of now, yeah, there's no commitment in terms of the timeline or in terms of when this will be available. So we are aware that this is a problem that needs to be solved. We are just tackling one thing at a time kind of situation.
One thing I would add on to that is, I think at the end of the question there was, are the drivers on Woo good enough? And I would say that folks on our team work super closely with all of our OEM partners to make sure that the drivers that we have on Windows Update are, I would say better than good enough, but great. And that we're working closely with them to make sure that they're putting the latest and greatest drivers on Windows Update. And like we talked about earlier, it also, through Autopatch, you get the ability to take advantage of the really in-depth recommendation engine that Windows Update provides, so that they target the exact set of drivers that are most applicable or kind of most recommended to get the great experience on your devices.
That's awesome. I do definitely like all the work we've done in drivers over the last few years. Going back to the Autopilot thing for a quick second, we actually do have an Autopilot AMA right after this. And Heather behind the scenes reminded me of this and actually wanted me to tell all of you. So if you are interested in learning more about Autopilot, check out the AMA that follows directly after this. You can also learn more about it at aka.ms-ama-Windows Autopilot. Also, those are backslashes, not dashes. My apologies. The next question, which will likely be our last as we're getting closer to 10. It's from Chris on Tech Community. We are still heavily an on-premise shop and use WSUS and Group Policies to manage our Windows updates for our workstations and our servers. Is there anything new with WSUS and related group policies that we should be considering? Is there a future still for our approach? Appreciate all the goodness y'all are moving forward.
I think that, go ahead, Arya.
We're likely going to say the same thing, which is this of, if it's working for you right now, that's great, especially for your servers. I'm a big fan of using group policies to get server updates from the cloud. Would prefer that to the WSUS approach. But I wouldn't say there's necessarily a huge amount of investment going into WSUS. It should likely be pretty clear by now based on all the things we're doing and talking about. Most of our investment is going into the cloud. And that is where we're heading with a lot of our new capabilities, our new products, our new features. They're all going to be much more cloud-based. And so if you want some of the new capabilities, it will likely mean that you'll have to transition eventually to the cloud. And so that you can plan out and figure out when you do it and when you want to go. And you can continue, of course, using WSUS right now as it works for you. But it is something where I would consider moving in the future as you see features that actually would enable you to be more productive or to save more money or reduce bandwidth consumption and things like that. David, did you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add on to that is that we really believe and are convicted that through connecting to the Microsoft Cloud, we're able to help you deliver better results to your organization with less investment. And so if there's gaps in the product that you feel like we're not addressing that are motivating you to stay on group policy and Configmgr or in WSUS, we definitely want to hear that feedback so that we can make sure that that's on our roadmap and that we're addressing it and creating the best platform for you to manage updates.
Yeah, that is great feedback and something you can definitely share. Also, quick correction, we actually go until 10:20 PST, so we have another half hour. So please do not stop asking questions or providing suggestions. Keep them coming so that we can hopefully address them or help answer them for you. On that note, the next question has come in, which is, what are the most common reasons that devices are missing from WUFB reports, and how do we correct those? David, I know this is something you and team have done a lot of work on. Care to weigh in?
Yeah, so typically when devices are missing from WUFB reports, it usually is due to a configuration somewhere preventing telemetry from reaching our services. And so there's a bunch of ways this can show up, but most commonly, either the policies are not enabled on the device to send telemetry back, or we've also seen a lot of cases where there might be at the network level a firewall rule blocking specific endpoints. So you might see on a device like, oh, I've set all the right policies, but either there's an on-device or in-network firewall that's preventing endpoint access and blocking those updates from getting through. Or lastly, the device might just be turned off. With all of our reporting services, we only keep data for devices for the last 28 days. And so if a user goes on vacation for an extended period of time, that device is left in a drawer or turned off, it's going to eventually fall out of the reports. And so depending on the size of your organization, that may or may not be a more common issue for you. Given the challenges, one of the things that we're really working on is deepening our integration between Autopatch and Windows Update for Business with Entra AD so that we can provide a more kind of consistent view of the overall state of the organization and more clarity for you on which devices are missing from those reports, so that if you were to take the device in a drawer case, you don't see your device counts fluctuating, but we've got better insights into which ones are just not being observed from our services versus other kind of challenges you may be facing. And so we're continuing to invest in this area. We know it's a top challenge for each of you managing your devices, and we want to continue to provide additional alerts as we break down this large bucket of like devices that are missing telemetry to provide more actionable reasons why. So clearly identifying here are devices that don't have the right client policies set, here are devices that aren't being observed, even scanning against Windows Update in the first place, leading us to believe it might be offline, et cetera, et cetera.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great to see the list of things that are the most likely device issues to be hit. I guess Monica and Harmon, you guys have worked a lot with customers over the last few years. I'd be curious to know what are the most common issues that you've seen customers hit when moving from on-prem to Autopatch? Harmon?
Yeah, I would say usually around the conflicts, the GPO conflicts is a big one. That's currently live in the product and was a huge ask for this specific reason of customers that still had GPO policy set for the devices. Now they also have Autopatch policy set. Why aren't the devices updating? And to David's point, looking to provide customer more rich information of what are the specific conflicts or the specific configurations that customers still have set that they might not be aware of, how to address those so they can drive down those issues and then fully come over to Autopatch, whether it's hide. I would say that's the biggest thing that I've seen. Monica, over to you. I'll think of some more.
Absolutely. I was kind of going to touch on similar lines in terms of what Harman mentioned. It's basically historically we've known that customers are used to doing things in a certain way, and then once we happen to introduce a new concept, there is always this migration effort and new learning effort that is required, and we've seen this over with different products. So yeah, to what David and Harman mentioned, always kind of making this transition between the way things were set up to the newer version was always like a hiccup that we had when we introduced these new capabilities. But one thing I think we are doing together as a team, we're taking this as a principle to kind of telling ourselves that we need to meet customers where they are. And we are introducing certain features where we are able to kind of use customers' existing configurations and policies to kind of start incorporating or importing into Windows Autopatch and using as is. One example that I want to specifically call out is we have done this for a couple of policy or content types, such as update rings policies and also, I believe we're introducing the same capabilities to other policy types. But basically, if you have a policy set up, you can import the policy directly into Windows Autopatch, meaning just whatever is working for you, we will just have Autopatch manage that for you. You will have Autopatch reporting once you complete the import, and also have different Autopatch capabilities apply to it. So there is, I acknowledge that there is no easy answer saying, hey, there is a one solution for for migration from different techs into the newer ones. But again, like I said, our team is doing a lot of effort to kind of meet customers where they are and make the whole process very easy for you guys.
Yeah, and I think the policy import is a great example of how people can start to take advantage of new capabilities in Autopatch without needing to do a big lift and shift type motion. And so, I'm really excited about how you can import those WUFB policies to start to take advantage of features such as the detailed quality update reporting, which has been a top ask from customers for some time. And so you're able to go start to take advantage of those reports and see those insights without needing to go recreate how you're managing quality updates in your organization.
That's awesome. That was going to go to one of the next questions I saw, which is, if you're already using Windows Update for Business in Intune, or the feature update deployment page with the update rings policies, do you need to take any action to move to the Autopatch blades? Or will that happen automatically? Is there something that customers should be doing now as we prepare or talk about the unification?
I can take that. Short answer is no. Like I was saying before, I think that was one of the core principles where we worked on when we were designing this whole unification, where customers should be able to use the update management solution that they have as is without having to make any migration or make any additional or have to do any additional steps to start using the unified product. So that's kind of the overall the short answer for it. But if I kind of have to dig a little bit deeper into, what about all the new capabilities that are introduced as part of this unification? When we are saying there are new Autopatch capabilities that might be available for previous Windows Update for business deployment service customers. So what that is going to look like is, in certain cases, I think you will need to go through certain extra steps, I think there is something called as feature activation that we have right now that is coming as part of unification, where if you consent for these additional features, then we will have a different group of capabilities available for you. And some of those include some of the reporting that Herman spoke about, actually reliability reports. So you will have additional reporting available on the devices that are Windows Autopatch managed. Then you will have Autopatch specific support. So rather than the typical CSS route, we have our whole support engineers working on specifically Autopatch tickets, so that will be available to you. And there are certain other concepts like Autopatch groups and audience management that also you can take advantage of if you complete the feature activation process. So again, kind of to summarize, short answer is to kind of do what you're doing today. You don't have to take any additional steps with unification. But if you want to take advantage of any additional capabilities that might be available to you, then you will have to do a little bit of consent, and then all those capabilities will open up.
Awesome. Next question from tech community is, hey, I've tried to go to the policy conflict report that Harman was talking about earlier, but I don't seem to have the Autopatch blade in Intune like it's mentioned in the doc. It tells me to go to the Microsoft Intune Admin Center, navigate to Windows Autopatch, Policy Health Affected Device tab. Select View Alert to see the alert details. But I don't see this. Can you please provide the URL for the report to make sure I'm looking in the right place? And maybe explain why I might not be seeing it. Harman, back to you.
Yep. Yeah, so it's a great question. So little correction of what I said earlier. Although you don't need to wait for unification to see this report and utilize it now, this report is currently only for Windows Autopatch customers. So in the meantime, before we're fully unified, your tenant must be enrolled and registered with Windows Autopatch to access this blade. That being said, the link for it is right here, aka.ms/autopatch policy health. If you're curious to see if you have access, and if you are enrolled in Autopatch but still aren't seeing it, that is a problem. Please let us know, and we can help you out there.
Awesome, thank you. So our next question comes from LinkedIn, which also appreciate everyone sending questions through tech community, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please keep them coming. They're super helpful, especially to hear what you're curious about. So the next question is, if we opt in Windows 10 managed devices for optional updates, will they be offered Windows 11? I do have a slight clarification on this question. So there's two ways you can get optional updates nowadays. We have the optional feature updates, where you can actually go to the feature update deployment page or use the graph directly to say, hey, I want this specific feature update. And in that case, you get to select a specific feature update. So it'll be offered whatever feature update you select. And David, I think, can they deploy an optional Windows 10 feature update, or is that only optional Windows 11 feature updates?
I believe that you can deploy any feature update as an optional update. I'd have to double check, but that's my recollection.
Perfect. So in that case, you would be able to deploy either Windows 10 feature update or 11, depending on what you selected. We also provide the ability to get optional quality updates. You can do this by selecting a specific quality update in the expedite flow, or by doing it via the group policy or CSP to enable optional updates. Enabling optional updates is only about optional Windows quality updates. So that has nothing to do with feature updates. You won't get offered Windows 11. You won't get offered any of those things. It purely has to do with the Windows quality updates and the component changes, which are basically turning on and off features that are being rolled out gradually over time. Hopefully that helps answer. If it doesn't and I missed your question, please just ask another one and we are happy to dig in. From Steve on Tech Community, will there be mechanisms built on top of Windows Update for Business and Autopatch to easily pull a KB from deployment that causes an unforeseen issue in the environment? We can do it easily in WSUS, but I've been told this is not easy in those products' designs. I know we should at least be able to test releases in advance, but things happen. In a large, broad environment, how can we stop if we find an issue? Thanks. Steve.
I can take that. All right. So short answer again. So if you're asking about is rollback available, like if that is what you mean by pulling a KB from a deployment, then we don't have that capability or that action available. Oh,
We
were you going
do.
to say something?
So, fun facts. You can both pause quality updates and roll back quality updates for things that happen. We also do occasionally make things like known issue rollback, where you can actually deploy a certain thing, which is, I think, probably what is not available. And Monica, what you were about to get to, we don't enable you to just pause a specific part of the quality update and roll that back when there's a known issue. But if you want and you're deploying an entire KB, so like an entire quality update, you can actually pause quality updates for up to 35 days, and then you can continue and repause them if you find that the issue still isn't fixed in your environment. Noting we really recommend you do this once and stop, since you're going to be missing out on a bunch of security fixes. If you've already deployed that quality update to a set of devices, you're able to roll it back as well. To roll it back, you need to make sure first you're pausing it for your deployments, and then you apply the rollback CSP. And you can do this through Intune or through whatever management tool that you have. And it will unapply the quality update from your device. And in future, we are looking at how do we integrate things like known issue rollback, so that instead of turning off or rolling back the entire quality update, you can actually just turn off that feature or fix that had the issue in it. And that's something I know, David, we've been talking about as well for a long time, of how do we provide that ability, which is only available via group policies provided by support today to you broadly through our Autopatch service. Apologies, Monica, for cutting you off. Did you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything I wanted to say, Arya. Yeah, I was going to mention about pause as well, but that's another option if you want to stop some deployment, but you call that out. Thank you.
Awesome. And Harman, I believe that you can see this in reporting as well, right? If you are pausing the quality update or rolling it back, is that something that we show in reporting? Or David, you can chime in as well.
Yeah, I'll hit it from the Autopatch side, which is currently live. Absolutely, you can see across each content type, and content type I'm here referring to whether it's quality updates, feature updates. You can see the pause state, and if there are any issues, the pause state, and then for feature update specific, you also can get additional information of what was the current version, target version. But in terms of the broader WUFB reports, David, I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, I believe that we have the pause state in WUFB reports. It's been a while since I've looked at it. The one thing I was also going to chime in on, though, Harman, is a call out for the reliability report that you mentioned earlier, which is that if you are concerned about quality updates leading to regressions in your environment, that new report Harman talked about that's in preview with Autopatch now is a great way to start proactively identifying those issues and figuring out if and when you need to pause before your phone rings.
That is a good call out and a good way to tell whether or not you should be pausing things. We have a question from, go ahead.
Oh, all right. I just wanted to add. So there's another place. I think this is something new that we're introducing as part of this new unification and some of the new functionality that we're building. Is there is something called as releases blade, which would be like one single view across all content types, and you can see all the upcoming deployments that are coming. And over that page, on that page, you'll also be able to see what is the current status of the deployment and some of this information that it's ongoing, in progress, pause, started. So it's another place to look at the status of different active deployments that are happening on the tenant. So just think of it as another report with some of the summary data.
That's awesome. Definitely lots of improvements in terms of reporting and where you can actually go to find some of these things, which is awesome to see how that's been growing over time. We have a question from Dennis, which not sure if this has already been asked, which don't worry, Dennis, it hasn't been, so you're good. Are there any plans to give admins the option to say install all updates and drivers and only have control over things like BIOS and firmware updates? Something like push all BIOS updates to all devices on Friday, 10 a.m. local time.
Yeah, I think today you can configure with drivers either the ability to pause all drivers until they're approved, or you can automatically offer recommended drivers and their scheduling controls around that. Having a more granular control to driver classes, so that being able to approve certain classes of drivers to automatically deploy while pausing others is definitely an idea that we've been talking about. I don't know. I don't think we have anything to share concretely today, but it's definitely something that's crossed our radar and will continue to be a point of discussion. And so thank you for highlighting that.
Definitely love the feature requests as well. Keep coming in or ask questions about if capability is coming. It's a really good thing as well as we're doing our prioritizations to make sure that we're getting the features that would help you and that you need to the top of that queue. So our next question is from Elmer on Tech Community. We have some cloud PCs that are not used often or may not get used at all. They're all in Autopatch. These have issues getting Windows updates. We've seen some get updates once users log in. Is this a known issue? So, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, so this is actually something that we've talked about. There's two parts to that. I will say the only thing that we have recently improved upon is for VMs or for devices. If a device has never been logged into and it's just been brand new, but it's never been logged into, you'll notice that they don't typically get updates. And so we actually did provide a registry key that can actually go and apply updates without a user ever having to have logged into that device. And this is something that Windows 365 Cloud PCs and the Azure Virtual Desktops both actually now configure on the back end to ensure those devices can update without ever needing to be logged into. Now, whether that's the issue you're hitting or not, I cannot say without looking at your logs, but that is an improvement that we recently made. David, did you want to add maybe there's other issues or improvements that have been made recently?
No, I think that's a great point. And the one thing I was going to emphasize is that within the Autopatch team, we have a stated goal that it's a phenomenal platform for managing cloud PCs. And so I know Harman and his team specifically are spending a lot of time looking at how to make that a great experience. So if there's any challenges that you're facing or feedback that you have in that vein, like we'd love to capture that to make sure that it's on our roadmap because it is a top priority for us.
AKA,
Absolutely.
If you have any other feedback, see Harman. His name is on the screen. You can bug him now on Tech Community or directly.
Yeah, and just to plug even further, Elmer, absolutely reach out because I mean, I would like to say there shouldn't be any issues, but without knowing more, what's the specific scenario and what issues you're running into, can't solidly answer that. So please do reach out, whether it's myself or anyone else on my team, we can help here.
Awesome. The next question is there any work being done to add information to the Windows Update for Business Delivery Optimization Report? I know that the community is actively creating their own reports with more valuable data to troubleshoot delivery optimization or show detailed savings, but it would be great to have it included in the Windows Update for Business reports as well. David?
So one of the things that I love about the Windows Update for Business Reports platform and log analytics is that it really facilitates those community workbooks and the ability for people to innovate on top of the data that we provide. And so I really think that there's a complementary role for people to bring their own data and insights into that platform and partner with the community to build that out. With that said, if there's key pieces of data or insight that you're not getting out of the delivery optimization report, I'd love whether it's a follow-up in chat or otherwise to capture that so that I can make sure that I follow up with the product managers that own those insights and make sure that they're aware of the feedback that you have.
That's awesome. Okay, we are almost at time, but before I let you guys be free and not have to answer any more of my questions or others for the day, I would love to know what are your final thoughts on the Windows Update space and the things that you're either most excited for to come or things that you're most excited for that have recently come. David, why don't you
I'll
start?
kick off. Like,
Oh, Harmon?
oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, to echo what Monica's been sharing around unification, super excited for the work that the team has done across the board of bringing the two products together. Really, the big feedback that we hear across, I mean, just the update space in general and reporting is consolidation, consolidation, consolidation. So really bringing and simplifying the experience for customers is what I'm super excited for. And one thing I'm really looking to do with some of my feature areas for just simplifying and simplifying reporting across some of the device readiness and alerting areas, and making it easier for customers to understand. And that's the broader principle that we're looking to go after with unification. So that's what I'm super excited for.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I would echo a lot of what you shared there, Harmon. And in particular, I think that over the next 6 months or something, as we kind of deliver out on a lot of the partnerships and the work that we've been doing, we're going to really see a big step forward in terms of both simplicity and the results that we're able to deliver with cloud updates, and really showcase those results through great reporting. And so I'm excited about, I feel like we're kind of at the cusp of the culmination of a lot of work that we've been doing together for many years. And I think that it's going to be an exciting next year in terms of the value that we're bringing to cloud management with updates and the power that we're able to deliver to our customers.
Monica?
Last but not the least, kind of again, +1 to what Harman and David mentioned. So really excited about how we are simplifying the whole process for our customers to kind of make update management easier. One of the things I specifically wanted to call out is, I think we spoke about this a little bit before, is really this idea of meeting customers where they are. We're really trying to hear what is the current status that they have today, and then what are the pain points that they're trying to solve, and Microsoft creating solutions to go solve those problems, rather than we saying we have this and then go use it. So we are not using that approach. We're really trying to first understand what is the customer's problem is, and then go build that. And I think that's something which excites me every single day. So I'm super excited to see everything that the team is building and the directions that we are taking.
Awesome. Well, thank you three so much. We really appreciate it. Up next is aka.ms-ama/Windows Autopilot to talk to you all about Autopilot. Thank you to everyone who joined in, who watched, who asked questions. Please keep doing so. We'll continue to answer them after this with our crew of other folks as well. We really appreciate having you here and joining us for the Managing Windows Updates AMA. Have a great day, evening, or morning.